Welcome to Live a Life. The new Samsung Galaxy S21 is finally here. It is the smallest phone from the lineup, but it is still an S-series Galaxy phone, which means there is a high expectation surrounding this phone, and we are here to talk about the camera. This year, Samsung decided to put 3 cameras on the S21, including the 12-megapixel main shooter, the 12-megapixel ultra-wide, and a 64-megapixel telephoto lens with 3x optical zoom. If this camera setup sounds familiar to you, you're right, because spec-wise, these are the exact same camera setup from the S20, which makes me wonder if this is actually an upgrade from the predecessor. But we are not comparing the two here. We're here to compare it against its direct competitor, the iPhone 12. But if you want to see the comparison between the S21 and the S20, just comment down below. And before we jump right into it, just keep in mind that this is a review unit. The software has not been finalized just yet, so the result could change in the future. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to see more great content in the future. We just hit 1,000 subscribers recently, all thanks to you. So without further ado, let's dive in. Both phones took great photos, of course. They are the flagship phones. In good lighting conditions, both phones produce excellent images. The results from the two are very comparable. Either the exposure, contrast, or detail, both have done an excellent job. But there are differences. Samsung tends to do a lot more contrast and sharpening to the photos than the iPhone 12 does. Take a look at the details on the road here. There's clearly more contrast and digital sharpening here on the S21. Here on this photo, again, both really capture a clean-looking image. Once again, the S21 tends to over-sharpen the image to have more crispier look, while the iPhone still looks natural or sometimes a little bit pale. But here, you'll see that the S21 has a lot more noise. This could be because of the over-sharpening as well. Next up, for the ultra-wide camera, the image from the S21 tends to look a little more well-saturated. Both look really comparable, but when zoom in, you will see that the S21 maintains a cleaner image. Look at the balcony here. The detail on the iPhone looks a lot mushier and contains more noise, while on the S21 looks clean. And on this building here, the S21 still maintains cleaner lines than the iPhone. Good job, Samsung! The S21 comes with a 3x telephoto camera, which really destroys the iPhone 12 because there is none. The S21 can zoom up to 30x with a 3x telephoto camera, while on the iPhone 12 can only do 5x from the main sensor. And the 5x, Samsung really obliterates the iPhone. There's just no competition here. And for the natural bokeh, we'll see here that the iPhone 12 produces a little blurry background when compared to the S21. Even though Samsung has a larger sensor size, this is likely due to a larger f1.6 aperture on the iPhone 12, where it is only f1.8 on the S21. In general, the white balance on the iPhone appears to be on the warm side. For the S21, there's less consistency. Sometimes it appears to be warmer than the iPhone, and sometimes way cooler. But one certain thing is Samsung's photos tend to be a lot more saturated than on the iPhone counterparts. Samsung's photos generally look a lot more punchy than on the iPhone, but most of the time it doesn't look real. It is oversaturated, while on the iPhone looks a lot more natural. But I really have to say that the oversaturated looks on the S21 really benefits food photography. It simply makes the food look more appetizing than the dull look on the iPhone. In low light condition, both shoot okay photos, but again, the S21 still maintains a cleaner image over the iPhone. Also, the photo from the iPhone has a warmer look to it again. The iPhone tends to have more dynamic range here. Take a look at this tree. Shadows are totally crushed on the S21, while there's some detail and contrast to be seen on the iPhone. And with the night mode on, Samsung makes it day and night. The image looks a lot brighter and crispier. It looks more like a photo taken during the day instead of at night. While night mode on the iPhone looks very similar to the photo when it's off, it maintains the night look, but with a much cleaner image. This will come to personal preference whether you like the brighter look on the Samsung S21 or a more natural look that still looks like a night on the iPhone 12. Next up for the portrait mode. For simple objects, both did a very good job on separating the subject from the background. But one thing you notice is that there are more dimensions to the depth of field on the iPhone. The out of focus background on the iPhone starts with a little blur, then gets blurrier as the background gets further. On Samsung, it's just the subject and a blurry background. But on a more complicated object, the S21 did a really good job separating the subject from the background, while the iPhone really messed up the shot. For portrait in low light, the photo from S21 appears to be brighter, with far more sharpening. The background separation is still flat as well. On the iPhone, the subject separation still maintains a natural looking bokeh, with the closest part of the object is in focus and gets blurrier as the image goes on. The Samsung S21 can shoot RAW photos in the Pro mode. But for the iPhone 12, you have to use a third-party app to shoot RAW. While there is an Apple Pro RAW, that's the exclusive feature for the Pro models only. For the Samsung RAW, the first noticeable difference is the super vibrant and saturated color. In the darker area, there are tons of noise to be seen as well. It's not because shooting RAW collects more noise, but the JPEG photos has been denoised by the software, and as always, the RAW can take on a lot more tuning and editing than the JPEGs. And that's about it. What do you think? Which one do you prefer? Please comment down below. And for me, I prefer the more natural look on the iPhone, but at the same time, the cleaner image on the Samsung. A very tough choice, that is. It is a little sad that we can't have the best of both worlds. If you want the image file to play with, it will be in the link in the description. And don't forget to press subscribe and ring that notification bell icon. That's it for now. Stay safe.